Hello, it is Creature, and today I'm going to be talking about an MMO for the very first time, so this should be fun. Contrary to popular belief, I spent most of my childhood not playing MMOs and instead opted for a more intellectual and physical type game that only the truest of high IQ and virile males would be able to play and keep up with. Quick disclaimer, everything I'm going to be talking about in this review is only the stuff that I experienced in the beta. So, to my knowledge, a lot of this stuff is, well, as Shadowfrex says, subject to change. The game releases in September, and if over the next few months things decide to change or make more of a change than this video actually has, then I will make a new video once the game actually comes out. So anyway, let's hop right on into it. Story. New World is an MMO taking place during the Age of Exploration, where you play as a random deckhand in service of the Portuguese Empire. Because they heard that the donut from Total Warhammer 2 was discovered, and they aren't going to be cucked out of more land like they were the last time, they send you and your captain to go colonize it. However, your captain, after getting some of that good blue shit from his Brazilian contacts, steers your ship directly into a fucking vortex where your entire crew and the captain all succumb to communism, leaving you, the last God-fearing Portuguese man, to fight them for the glory of NATO. After you explain that communism has never worked in any country that it has been implemented in to some of your crewmates, you must then meet with the Primus Proletariat, your captain. After accusing you of stealing some of his meth, he spends the next 10 minutes reading the Communist Manifesto, which is about 5 minutes more than your average college freshman and 15 minutes shorter than your average Antifa member. You, however, being red-pilled by the memes and the shitposts that was given to him in Lesbian, you call him cringe.
The means of production must be given to the worker creature. The working class has been oppressed for too long.
I thought you didn't have a job.
I can't find a job because capitalism has failed, creature. That double nature.
Yeah, and lesbian dance theory and Zimbabwean watercolors. After smacking him a few times with some FBI crime stats, he screeches until the screen turns white and you wake up on a beach. You are met by a woman who tells you what's going on. Red Mountain is erupting and the Daedra are coming. And that's pretty much it. Graphically, it's really nothing to write home about. I mean, the game looks fine, and for the most part, there isn't really anything that blew my mind. I have heard some people say that it's really hard to run, and granted, I do have a pretty solid computer, but I was able to run everything on Ultra and still have it work just fine. I had little to no problems with the performance of the game, which I expected to have a good amount of, seeing that it was a beta of a game. But overall it ran pretty well on my laptop. Audio-wise, there also wasn't really much to talk about, which is kind of disappointing because the kind of combination that you get from this game, you don't really see that often. The only thing I can really think of that was recently done with this sort of setting be Greedfall, and that's the music was very generic, either tribal drums, some string instruments thrown in, or trumpets and things like that. Even in the cutscenes had pretty forgettable music. I mean, as I was writing the script, I genuinely couldn't remember any of the soundtracks from the game. The sound effects were kind of the same as well, but I will say that the magic items in the game had a very different sound than that normal kind of glittery and sparkly sound you get with magic, and instead it sounds like someone's hitting you in the face with a dodgeball, which was a welcome change from the generic magic sounds. New World takes to the kind of RuneScape MMO, meaning you're going to be doing a good amount of grinding. However, you do progress relatively fast, so you can go from a level 1 logging loser to a level 50 chopping Chad relatively quickly. However, this game has something that is absolutely disgusting and deplorable. Taxes. Which makes my red, white, and blue American blood start to boil whenever I see my colonial overlords taxing my home and house. Anyway, you will be paying taxes. Everything is taxed, from crafting to refining, trading, even player-owned houses have property tax. And beyond that, there are actually 4 different starting areas, which are more or less random to my knowledge. I genuinely didn't know that until I joined up with a group, or a company, but more on that later. There are 12 regions in this game, but only a few of them are actually controllable by factions, which again I will talk about later in this video, but it's getting harder and harder not to. I only really traveled around the southern four, which I think are more or less the starting areas, but for the most part, resources are not dictated by the region and are instead detected by the biome. So the more trees, you get a forested area and you have actual trees. The more mountains, you get ores, more plains, you have grasslands which have resources in it, you get it. Each region has one main city that has taxes independent from other settlements. So, for instance, in Monarch's Bluff, the property tax could be 5%, while in First Light it's 10, and so on and so on. Also, inventories do not transfer from settlement to settlement, so if you store some flax in First Light, you won't be able to access it in Windsward or whatever. While you may think this is dumb, they do have it there for a reason. Regional markets are something that New World has gone all in on. Each region has its own market with its own prices. Stuff in First Light could be cheaper than stuff in Windsward or Monarch's Bluff. This is because some resources are easier to get in certain places than they are in others. For instance, flax, which starting out in First Light like I did was damn near impossible to find. It's extremely abundant in Windsworth, however, so if one was to spend some time there gathering flax, they could go to First Light and sell it for a solid price. However, fast traveling with a full inventory is extremely pricey, which brings me to Azoth. Azoth is a big resource in New World, and from what I was able to gather from my time playing, it can be used for crafting and fast traveling. Azoth can be attained from killing things, kill some monsters, rocks, trees. Essentially, it's to make sure you're actually doing things instead of just sitting around AFK. Crafting with Azoth improves the quality of your stuff and allows for bonuses to be applied, as well as, fast travel. But fast travel is just fast travel, except you can only fast travel from cities or sanctuaries. And the cost of the fast travel is dictated on three things: distance, faction affiliation, and weight. So you won't be able to really load up on a bunch of valuable resources and then blink across the map. You're going to need to walk, and my god, you're going to be spending a good amount of time just walking across the map. I'm harping on this a little bit, mainly because I spent probably 30% of my playtime just walking from place to place. However, you do get one free fast travel location, an inn. You're able to register at an inn in any city, and this becomes your respawn point. And you can also set up a camp that acts as another respawn point. And when you die, you can either choose to respawn at the nearest city or your campfire or your inn. However, you also get to fast travel to your inn once an hour for free. So you can work around the fast travel restrictions a bit, but you will end up killing yourself more times than a Jamestown Colt, which will negatively affect your armor. On a side note, the game actually does have an in-game bit of lore that explains why things keep coming back to life and why people are able to respawn, and that is that in Atrium, nothing dies. It always comes back to life. That's why animals, monsters, and plants always respawn. And no one ages either, so everybody is an immortal as well. This becomes very apparent, as many people say that they have been on Atrium for hundreds of years, but they don't look like the Crypt Keeper. But this does make more questions than it solves, like, what if somebody has kids? There are no kids here, so are people not able to have kids, or did everybody just vow not to have kids? What about the animals? Can they reproduce? If not, where did they come from? In real life, feral hogs came from escaped pigs, so I can see that, but what about the deer and the bison? I think I'm thinking too much into this. Like every MMO, New World has factions. What are their names? It doesn't really matter. What are their perks? There are none. In fact, there isn't really much difference between them except their color. In fact, no one even refers to the factions by their names, just their color. Yellow, green, and purple, and as far as I can tell, the only difference in the factions is the difference in quest names and the faction names. And the factions are the Syndicate, the Covenant, and the Marauders, and they are Science, Religion, and Raiders, respectively. There isn't much difference beyond that, though most consider purple to be the evil ones, yellow to be good, and green to be neutral. Factions are mainly relevant to companies, and companies are just guilds. However, bonuses that these can provide are extremely beneficial. If your faction controls a city, then you get some bonus resources as well as some tax breaks. If your company controls the region and the city, you gain even more tax breaks. You can even get reputation bonuses for doing stuff in a region, which can be used for, guess what, even more tax breaks as well as storage and experience boosts. And for the most part, there's a wide range of stuff to do in each one of these regions. One place isn't only going to have low level stuff, and another isn't only going to be locked off to high level players. Shit, I found a level 6 monument right next to a level 24 one, so there is a good bit of level spread, and this does give a little bit of a reason to actually main one location. Each one of the regions can change hands with faction wars, and this can be initiated by doing faction PvP quests in another faction's territory in order to increase your faction reputation, allowing for your faction to push another faction out. And as I've just said faction, I think 7 times in one sentence, I will now be referring to them as communities and the players as chimps. If enough chimps do quests, they can fight another community of chimps in order to claim their land. Though you may be thinking that a higher level chimp will always body the lower levels, and it's not exactly always true. While chimps with better stuff can beat chimps without it, a level 20 chimp could easily be expected to beat a level 45 orangutan, and can hold their own against a level 60 gorilla, though they will probably get beaten one-on-one. Once the influence bar is filled up by chimps in a community doing chimp v chimp quests, war is available to be declared by a company. Chimps on both sides can sign up, and after the chimp v chimp event, whoever has gained the most points gets the town. Simple. And if a community wants their city back, then they're going to need to get their chimps to do more quests in order to gain influence and rinse and repeat. There are also corruption invasions, when a bunch of NPC mobs need to be killed in a time frame, but I have yet to see any faction lose one of those. However, I did hear that green failed one at the beginning, so, you know, just something for you to consider whenever you start playing. Join Yellow, we're the best. Conclusion. And that's the game. As one person put it, all of your PvE grinding is just grinding for the PvP. Though I will say that the PvP is pretty fun, and I did enjoy the few story quests that I was able to complete. Also, the fishing minigame is very fun, and I could have easily spent hours doing it. As the game was in beta, I would rate it very highly, and the community was very forthcoming with criticism. And I hope that they will take the next few weeks to tweak things here and there. There were some exploits that were very quickly discovered, such as people abusing the town board in order to power level to the max, but they did fix that very quickly, so I am hopeful. I would recommend New World to experienced MMO players as well as newer ones as well. It's not as grindy as WoW in terms of leveling, and it's nowhere near as grindy as RuneScape. This isn't a game where you need to treat it as a second job in order to make any progress. And the PvP wars actually do affect the gameplay and the regions, unlike something like ESO. It kind of fills the niche of being a bit more of a casual game than the aforementioned MMOs, and is much more community focused, with people being generally cordial if not outright friendly. I can definitely see this going on as kind of a game that I play for a while. I give it a 8 out of 10. Should also say that Amazon does own this game, so if you don't like the game or just having things go wrong, blame the big bald man. Anyway, that's it. Thanks for watching. I've been gone for a while, and I mean a fucking long while. I just graduated from college, moved across the country, and got a pretty nice job, so I've been busy with a lot of IRL stuff. Also, if you can't tell, I got a new mic, and I hope it sounds a lot better than my old headset mic. And I haven't had a lot of time to write scripts, record, and edit, but if you do watch Evan the Usurper streams or some of his highlight videos, then you will know that I haven't been completely dormant. But I'm settled now, and I can't wait to get back into making videos. I've been talking to some other YouTubers, and there are some things in the works that may happen, that may not. Anyway, thanks for watching, and if you have any recommendations or suggestions, let me know. I do plan on getting a VR headset soon, so I will definitely need some recommendations on that and which one is best and so on and so on. Alright, that's kind of it for updates. Thanks for watching, and more to come in the future. Bye-bye.
Contact.
Oh, I see him.
Go. He gone. Alright, onwards and upwards.
Got him.
Dude. Big got him.
Can I skin him?